but I think by now you know everybody who's on this cohort. So think about their products, their services. Um, and we'll be putting you in some breakout rooms. And so you'll decide amongst yourselves and discuss with your group 3 ShelterTech startup products or services that you would bring with you on that island. So it could be, socialites, Wi-Fi service. It could be Sampangan's magic box. It could also be Tap Effects water service, right? So it could be anything. So here's the catch. You are being held captive on this island by aliens, and the only way for you to escape is to draw these startups' products or services. So use the Zoom whiteboard. And if you don't know how to do that, once you're in your breakout rooms, you can share screen and then there's a whiteboard option there. So use the Zoom whiteboard to show the group what your drawings are. We'll be popping in and out each of the rooms just to take some photos here and there. But hopefully this will be a fun little exercise for you to really kind of think about how you can also present the other startups by using just images or drawings, which is a little bit different from what we're doing later on, which is to use, verbal and visual cues in your pitching and presentations. So is that clear to everybody? I think we might have some people who are joining us for the first time on the call. So if you're unfamiliar with the ShelterTech startups, feel free to ask whoever's in your room about what their startup product or service is. And that'll help you kind of get a better idea of what you can show the aliens on this island. So is that okay with everybody? All right, Mickey, I'll pass it on to you. If you could just also share the instructions in the chat box, and then we can break out into our separate rooms.
All right, sure.
So again, for those who have just joined us, this is the situation. And Mickey has also put in the chat box the instructions that you'll have to do. So I think you should be receiving a prompt now on your screen to go into your separate breakout rooms. And happy discussing about which products or services you'll take with you on the island. Rooms. So on to our next part of today's learning lab. You guys remember him from our first impactful storytelling and pitching masterclass. So today is session number 2, and I want to thank all of the entrepreneurs who have also posted the recordings of their pitches on Mighty Networks. I think Neil has given some great feedback over there. So please help me in welcoming Neil Bearden from Plotwolf. Hi, Neil. Morning.
Hello, what's up, y'all? I just to explain my behavior today. I got sick. I've been coughing, so if you hear me cough a little bit, please forgive me. This morning, I dropped my daughter off at school, and I thought I'll go see the doctor because I've had the same symptoms for the past 3 years, just right around this time. And I always wait and wait and wait to go to the doctor. Then the dude will give me antibiotics, and the next day, just boom, like that, I'm better. So I went today, and Singapore is having COVID paranoia right now after a long period of safety. Now the lights are flashing red. So my trip to the doctor ended up with me getting handed a mandatory 5-day stay at home notice and going to get the Q-tip shoved down my nose a few minutes ago, all unexpected. So If I'm hacking and coughing, forgive me, but all's going to be okay. Now, the best thing to do, and it might be a little bit boring, but you know what? I don't care because I'm here to help you, is for us to more or less repeat what we did last time. You can never practice too much. Okay, for those of you who, Tim, I saw that you just sent something, but that was the same time I was getting the thing stuck down my throat. For those of you who have uploaded something great, really, really, really good work. For those of you who haven't had a chance to practice and get some feedback, I think we should focus on you today. Okay, that's the main thing. And look, everyone here, it's not you sit and wait your turn while we help the other people. Remember, we're all here to help each other because by helping someone else improve her pitch, his pitch, it's going to help you learn about your own. Okay, so who wants to start today? And then at the end, we'll get back to some of the ones from last time. But I'd like to start with something fresh. Who wants to go? Annabelle, you want to go?
Okay. I'll share the 5 minutes each, right?
Cool,
Or
cool.
the 1 minute version.
Let's do
Right.
five so we all have a very clear view of what it is that you do.
Okay. Let me share my slide. Can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Hey, I like the image. I like the font selection. Everything looks very nice. This looks legit. Just a comment, but I
Thank
do I
you.
do a bit of design stuff myself, and this looks very nice, very elegant.
So I'll start. Hi, I'm Annabelle, and what we do is we connect the unconnected sustainably. The problem is 50% of global population, particularly low and middle income countries, do not have access to the internet. That's 3 billion people with one or two smartphones each. Even though they have a smartphone, they don't have connectivity in where they live. And with all that's been happening with the pandemic, so much of life is moving online. Even myself, I currently have COVID-19. So it has never been more obvious that everyone has the need to be connected. But without internet access, they are often cut off from friends, families, information, and opportunities. On the other hand, even though telcos have available lines in these areas, the issue is that they do not want to do that last mile because it's not profitable for them. So if they do their typical monthly subscription model in these communities, it would not work. That's why we created Wi-Fi. It's a Wi-Fi monetization platform that allows us to partner with telcos and ISPs to provide Wi-Fi in low-income communities. This allows us to solve problems in connectivity, poverty, as well as the environment. So with Wi-Fi platform, together with our partners, the telcos, ISPs, we're able to provide Wi-Fi in low-income communities. This allows us to give Wi-Fi in a cheaper manner, faster, more reliable, and what's even better is we're able to partner with brands to allow them to exchange plastic waste into free Wi-Fi. So we're like a franchise model. We're able to pursue sites that we want to be in together with partners that we want to be with and be able to provide Wi-Fi services in those areas. On the other hand, we're also able to do just a platform where our partners, the telcos and ISPs, have existing sites or sites that they want to be in. We just provide them the platform for them to monetize those areas. So far, we have 500,000 plus unique users across 6 cities in the Philippines with two telcos and ISP partners. For the users, the way it works is simple. You connect to the Wi-Fi, this page pops up, you log in your basic information, you see targeted relevant ads, and then you see a voucher page. This page is where they are able to purchase that from mom and pop stores, or they can exchange plastic waste to get free Wi-Fi vouchers, and boom, they are able to connect online. It's very simple for mom and pop stores. They sell it for 10 US cents for every 2 hours. And then they get 20% of the earnings. That's 10 times better and larger than a telco prepaid voucher. In partnership with ad agencies and brands, we're able to provide plastic exchange programs for 10,000 US every month for every community for those brands. This plastic waste could be sachets, labels, cigarette butts, and pep bottles that they are able to exchange for free Wi-Fi. For the brands, it's great program because one, they are able to generate sales, exchange their waste into free Wi-Fi, create more value to their customers, consumption data, competitor analysis. They're able to do that to the community, as well as to recycle plastics in those areas. We partner with telcos and ISPs. We charge them on a software as a service basis. We charge $5 to $15 per access point per month, depending on the volume that they will be needing or ordering. We are raising 800,000 US dollars as we want to expand to new sites as well as expand our team. We are also looking for strategic partners who can help us grow the business. Our team has been experienced for the last 10 years in various things from startups, my husband having exits, myself from FMCG, as well as our technical co-founders who've created systems for bigger enterprise. Also our advisors who gave us insight on education to technology as well as managing the startup life. And of course, our investors who believe in us and who put money in our company and gave insights into mouse housing and other areas that has already brought us where we are today. So join us in helping connect the next 3 billion users into the internet connectivity space so that they too can have access to opportunities that you and I both enjoy today. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Annabelle. What is, let's poll the rest of folks. What's the number one question you have after hearing that? Think about it from the point of view of an investor. What's most probable question? First question. If she was asking you for some money, what would be your first question? I'll stare at you all day. I ain't scared.
I'll go. I guess I'm not clear about how it's going to be executed. I'm a technical dweeb. Sorry.
So you just don't see the mechanics of how it's going to be implemented.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the technical side how it works. Yeah.
What are other questions you have? Let's see. Yep, Andrew, that relates to mine. My what's the competition? Annabelle, what's the competition?
The competition actually we have indirect competitors with local telcos who offers at a more expensive rate with low bandwidth.
Okay, so how are you able to do it better than them?
So and because they're unable to really give a good rate for those sites, so we're able to do that because when we partner with telcos, we're able to provide them a revenue stream and hence make it more affordable to them to give better rates. So we help telcos earn in other streams through advertising.
Okay, and the yep, good question about the business model. Also, is whose technology is it? These contact points? Is there some IP here, or you're just
We're the ones who develop it.
yeah?
Yeah. So it's a platform. It's a monetization platform that the telcos and advertising brands and agencies can use to be able to provide Wi-Fi to these communities in a cheaper manner.
Okay, who else What's your closest competitor doing that? So is this because when you tell me that, I'm starting to wonder: is this some massive technological opportunity,
Yes.
or is this you just kind of set up some points in some area where people can get the internet?
No, it's actually we don't just point it. We provide before the users are able to access the internet. We provide this platform that enables them to see ads as well as enter voucher codes, which would give them, it's a way for us to give them a cheaper manner of internet. So it's a platform.
Okay, now here's everyone. Stay with me. Because of the sequencing of the pitch, this was my own experience. The I kind of lost the significance of what it's all about because it was a lot of people need internet, dung dung dung, and then we get to the substance of your innovation, what you're doing. But to me, it just kind of felt like another slide in the pitch. I didn't realize that the investment, and maybe it's just because I'm not that smart, but I didn't realize that the investment, like that was the part that I needed to pay attention to. And it felt like that was just kind of lost on slide 8 to me. Okay, but if you're pitching to an investor, that matters. If you're just pitching to some Bill and Melinda Gates because they want to give internet to folks, then maybe that doesn't matter so much. But what you're telling me now, Annabelle, it sounds like we developed this. There's value creation here for everyone because we can lower the cost for the users. We can do these ads for the companies. If that's the real heart of it, then depending on your goal, probably we should move that sooner. In journalism, there's an idea called burying the lead. That's where in paragraph 4, sentence 6, you put the most important thing in the article. So if you ever heard don't bury the lead, that's what it's all about. So likewise, in your pitch, you don't want the most important thing to be on slide 8. So if we just come, stay with me, everyone. If we just come all, look at me, look, all the way back to the beginning, Annabelle, instead of a lot of people need internet, people don't have internet, the normal stuff that everyone's used to hearing, if we just front load it, what are you actually doing? Okay, and I'm going to take a first pass at it given my very superficial understanding. It seems to me like you say, look, everyone, access to the internet, some might argue, is a basic human right now. A lot of people have difficulty doing that, getting access. Why? Because it's so costly. We have a platform where we can lower the cost significantly through, and then you explain to me what your tech does. And then I get it. Okay, this is not just some, I make a donation so that people subsidize internet for people, but we've developed a technology and just front load it with that. Here's the problem. Here's how we're solving it. Now, maybe you said that, but I missed that at the beginning. Annabelle, how do you characterize it? What is it that you're doing? Just boom in 3 or 4 sentences.
Uh, we provide a platform to our telco partners and agency brands to be able for them to provide Wi-Fi to the low-income communities in a cheaper manner and a reliable manner.
That's what you do, but I think we can say it more impactfully, which is we have developed a platform that incentivizes advertisers to subsidize access to the internet. Okay, is that what it's about?
Yes,
Okay, that sounds like that's crispier.
agree. I agree.
Okay, we have developed a platform that provides advertisers access to their consumers. Right? We need to find some way of saying it, but it just needs to be very, very crispy. Riz, is that starting to sound sharper to you? Okay, now someone give me a, and look, we always got to do this A/B test drive. Someone, Tim, give me a very high level, I don't get that excited version of what they're doing.
Um, yeah, I'm
Deliberately
not.
give me a bad pitch. I want you to deliberately give me a bad pitch.
Yeah, so we try to provide Wi-Fi internet connection to low-income families by providing a different type of platform which enables providers to um, reach out to the masses.
Okay, good. So Tim did exactly what I wanted to do because that was horrible, right? So,
Thank you.
yep. So A plus because it was an F. So because why? What that sounds like, and this is a problem you all face when it's said that kind of way. It sounds like this is some social enterprise. It's not going to be around for a while. It's not going to be run well. It's some blah blah blah. But Annabelle, you all, if I understand correctly, have developed technology that effectively allows advertisers to subsidize access to the internet for people.
Yes,
Okay, that's
correct.
great. Okay, now because now I see the look, let's be honest. Most people, or a lot of people, they're capitalists, right? They want to see that there's an opportunity, that there's a business here, that something serious is going to happen. And if we focus too much on people need internet, I start to worry as an investor, this ain't really what I'm looking for. But if you have a tech company that's developing a mechanism to incentivize, and right, who should be paying for the internet? Access to the internet. It should be the advertisers, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Right? So, I mean, you almost have a moral crusade, right? If anyone should pay for the internet, who should it be? Well, it should be the advertisers. Right now, what happens is people feel like they get the internet for free, and then they go into Google, Facebook. But you know what? The advertisers are paying Google and Facebook to feed these people what they want to see. Now, there are areas where people just can't get access to the internet. They can't even get on to be shown those ads. Well, we've developed the technology so that those same advertisers can effectively give people subsidized access to the internet. Okay, and you can frame it in a way where basically you're doing what Google and Facebook do by lowering the unit cost for people to get access. Is that right?
Yes, totally agree. And thank you for that. It's very helpful. I have to frame it that way.
Yeah, so Annabelle, we wanted to, whoever you tell it to, we want their hair to be on fire. Whoa, this is going to be huge, man. We can use this in Africa, there, everywhere else. This is incredible. So, if you go in that direction, then to serious investors, they're going to start asking about IP, right? Okay, you've done this, but how defensible is it? What Annabelle, is that a whole nother conversation?
Yeah, that's a whole lot of another conversation.
Okay, but let's just summarize where we are right now. If you, and that's everyone on this call, make what you're doing sound too much like you're helping people in need, that's the focus, and you bury the lead on kind of the real substance of how you're doing it, a lot of people might leave with the wrong impression. Okay, that's why it's generally a good idea to bring your how up to the front. Because right now the normal template that we all kind of default to is let me talk about people in need and start with all that and use billions and this and that and those numbers. And then later on, I'm going to tell folks how I'm going to do that. But we, the investors, others, we hear about billions of people every day. And you kind of get numb to it, right? A billion doesn't even mean anything anymore. So what would benefit you, and I'm repeating myself, just move that how very early. So if I tune out, I get it. That's why I like boom, Lego bricks right at the beginning. Boom, got it. Understand it.
Okay, got it.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, Annabelle, so, summarize for me your takeaway so far.
So my takeaway, I have to bring the what we're actually bringing to the table at the front. So we're gonna talk about our product itself and how it really impacts the low income communities, but not in a very common way, but in the advertisers incentivizing them and subsidizing the access.
Yep.
That focus.
Good. I like it. Thank you, Annabelle.
Thank you so much for your feedback. Really appreciate it.
Welcome, welcome. Tim, you want to tell us what you're up to?
Tim, I think you're on mute.
He's giving himself a presentation.
Sorry.
There we go.
Give me a
Yeah,
second.
full screen, it's a bit hard to figure out where the microphone thing is.
Yeah, no, when I'm talking to Neil, my mind goes off the other direction. Okay, good day, folks. Imagine trying to grow your own home from a plant that grows in your backyard. That's exactly what we try to do at Affordable Abodes. We take Kanaf plant biomass, and turn that into affordable building material. And with that, we try to tackle the great shortage of housing within Malaysia. Right now, there's a million shortage. And with our business, we try to create impact both economically and environmentally, as well as social impact as we build, as we farm, as we grow this technology. Climate change, we all know, has affected us severely. We've seen great problems with crop devastation. We've seen devastation of our raw materials, which are not renewable at all, and also the supply chain. So we're tackling this with different technologies. Kanaf, what is Kanaf? Well, it's a plant, it's a hibiscus plant that grows very quickly. It's very renewable. In 4 months, we can have one crop and start making good quality raw materials for building and construction of quality housing. The plant is also useful in that it can be eaten. It's high in protein, highly nutritious, and the waste can also be composted back into the fields. We've built so far about 14 of these houses. They look like perfectly normal houses. They don't look like trees. And it's very quick to build with this type of prefabricated technology that we provide. What is Kanafcrete? Kanafcrete basically is the plant core. It's 90% plant core, and we take that and combine it with industrial binders like lime, fly ash, and we cast it into light gauge steel frames, which you see here on the right. There's different types of panels that we provide: wall panels, door panels, and window panels. And with that, we can construct the entire house without the need for any reinforced concrete beams or steel beams. And we have all the building certifications that are required for building in Malaysia. The impact that we're looking to create down the road will stand somewhere at about $250 million US. And in the process, we are hoping to create 1,000 over jobs from this. And more importantly, to build 10,000 over homes annually. How valuable is a concrete house? Well, in terms of plantations, we've got plenty of land we can use in Malaysia, underutilized land, and with each hectare we can build about 15 houses per year. That's the economic impact of a house, about 15,000 US worth, and we can take carbon emissions of a vehicle off the road for 1 year's worth of emissions. We're projecting that with our capacity currently, we should be able to churn out about 600 houses, and in doing so, generate a revenue of about 7 million. And after costs, we should yield a profit of about $1.5 million, which is roughly about 20% profits. At this stage, we're looking to find a strategic investor who can work with us in Malaysia, particularly to manage the operations and also, more importantly, to conduct the marketing program. And this is the valuation pre-investment, post-investment that we're looking at this stage. So with raising about 850,000 US at the moment in this second stage of funding, and with that we will be able to further automate the factory, and scale up the operations, and also very importantly to continue with our research and development of our future Kanaf products. We're looking at a target date of closing this round of fundraising in September of this year. And what's in store is that we hope to generate more technology to be able to produce houses on site just about anywhere with a modular mobile factory. Thank you very much. I'm Tim. My partner Nick's on the call. Please chat with us. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so first of all, Tim, a question. When you pitch this to investors, how familiar do you expect them to be with Kanaf?
Not at all. Nobody's heard about Kanaf ever.
Okay. So question to the rest of you. What was your feeling at the beginning of the pitch? Here's my feeling. So I know a little bit about this because I worked with Tim before, but putting myself in the shoe of someone who's never heard it before, until slide 4, what was numbered slide 4, I was distracted. I was majorly distracted. What is this? What is it? People were going to grow bricks in their backyard. What is this Kanaf? I have no idea what it was. And so he was talking, but I was distracted trying to figure out what he was talking about. And then we got to slide 4, which was the best slide in the deck, I thought, aesthetically, otherwise, where he told us a bit about Kanaf and how this is going to work. So how many other, maybe I'm alone, but did the rest of you feel a little bit confused at the beginning? You didn't quite know what it was about? Yep. So what do we want to do? You do not want your audience to get distracted. So if there's some very predictable thing that they need to know, don't bury it on slide 4. Boom. So again, Annabelle, like with yours, we need to front load these things so people know exactly what they're listening to. A tendency we have to kind of slowly construct their understanding sequentially, that can leave people in a state of confusion. So, one, that's the biggest question that people are going to have. Two, basic business question is, okay, so you can make it with that stuff, but what's the competition? Is the competition only conventional building materials? Or is that just one part of the competition? What about the Lego bricks? Is that the competition? So as an investor, where do I situate this in a space? Because in the absence of clear competition, maybe you can do 600 houses a year. But if there's another sustainable material that can build houses 15% cheaper, maybe not. I don't know. So what is the competition, Tim?
Yeah, there is definitely competition coming from the conventional bricks and blocks market. The difference is that, because we are prefabricated, lightweight, structural, we can build so much quicker. We can build, within 3 weeks as compared to bricks and blocks, which take 3 months. So basically, we're much faster.
What's that have to do with Canaf?
So that's basically the design of the prefabricated panels, yeah, that enables the rapid construction.
But what's that have to do with Canaf? So I get prefabrication that can accelerate things. There's two parts because you have Canaf and you have the prefab part.
Yeah, so the Canaf material enables these panels to be manufactured much lighter than concrete. So we can use basic simple manpower, unskilled manpower to construct with. So it's like I said, it's a quarter the weight of concrete, and we don't need heavy machinery or very skilled labor to do the work. So basically, it's lightweight, right? Very lightweight, but it's yet it's able, it's strong enough. It's strong.
Okay, so now good. So is the value proposition that it's Canaf that can be grown in your backyard, or that it's lightweight?
I guess lightweight would be the main thing, right?
Okay, here's what I'm looking for. Is the big pitch? Look, we're using this weird plant you never heard of, and you can grow it in your backyard, so it's renewable and so on. Is that the angle? Or is the angle actually we can make houses more affordable by using lightweight material that unskilled individuals can put together without heavy machinery, lower the cost of homes, and the way that we're able to do that is by using, coincidentally, this natural material that allows us to make strong, lightweight stuff. And here's the difference, y'all, because if it's Canaf weirdo plant, and by the way, we're going to prefabricate houses, it seems like the emphasis is on this weird thing that we never heard of before. But if it sounds bigger, look, we can lower building costs by using prefabrication techniques. And one thing that we're going to do is make incredibly lightweight material so that you don't need heavy machinery and so on, blah, blah, blah. The way we do that is with Canaf. So if Canaf comes first, I think it's about Canaf. If prefab lightweight comes first, I think it's about that. And then Canaf is just kind of an interesting little cherry on top. Everyone, you see how the order makes a big difference? So it was like the Lego blocks. Is it about, yeah, what was it about? Right? Is it that people can do it easily, unskilled folks after 3 hours of training? What is it about? And Tim, what is this about? What is the business about? Because I suppose just, I guess you have two conversations, Tim. One is where people are interested in Kanaf and it's kind of fun to talk about. And another is they've never heard of it and it's kind of frustrating and you get caught up in talking a lot about Kanaf. What's the business about?
I guess to me personally, it's about providing a renewable resource, you know, because I've worked for so long in construction with concrete and bricks and steel, you know, and we know it's highly unsustainable, right? So I'm trying to get this message out to people that they can do it, you know, in a much more environmentally friendly way, you know. Now, I guess to connect with people, you know, that it has to come across as something better, right? It's got to be better than what they're doing right now.
For some reason, yeah. So I'm looking at Andrew's question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is it, and Andrew, that's a good question because is it about Kanaf or is it about using this mobile prefabricated system where you can plug in these renewable materials instead of concrete, which would make, you know, if you could use the local raw material from other plants in other places, would make this seem much bigger.
Yeah. Well, we haven't gone there yet, but at the moment it's about Kanaf, right? Hemp, Kanaf, they're kind of the same properties. Now we know there's plenty of palm oil waste, for example, all over Southeast Asia that could be used. So it's possible that with further research that we could develop it. But at the moment, it's basically Kanaf. Hemp is not available here. It's only grown in temperate climates, and that's being used in Canada and US and other places. But down in the tropics, where the bulk of the population live, Kanaf is fairly readily available in most Southeast Asian nations, for example, in Myanmar and Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia as well.
So here, maybe the rest of you know, I don't know. Give me a quick lesson, a 30-second lesson in concrete.
Okay, so concrete is made out of cement, stone, and sand, and the cement comes from burned limestone, calcined limestone, which becomes calcium oxide, and when you mix all that with water, it forms a cementitious binder that holds all the stone and the sand together. And all of these materials are totally non-renewable.
That should be your pitch. Do you see him just flip that switch and turn into the professor? Do you hear how smart that sounded? Riz, did you hear that? He became a superhero when he explained that. And then boom, at the end he said, and these are totally non-renewable. So then he started preaching to us. Now, when there's a bad guy, cement, then when this canafcrete comes in, I have an easier way to make sense of it. So Tim, that I think just factoring out the sequencing thing, if you can be that dude who just spoke to us just then when you pitch, that's going to be very, very effective. Right? Because a couple of things just happened when you said that. You just said all that like in a way that indicated to me you didn't just read the Wikipedia entry about that last night. You actually know about that stuff. Okay, so he's credible. Okay, so if I invest, I'm putting money in the hands of someone who knows what he's doing, right? He's not some guy who had an ice cream shop and then decided that he wanted to build affordable homes. This guy actually knows what he's talking about. So how often does that guy come out in your pitching? That one who just spoke to us?
If I have more than 5 minutes, maybe.
Okay, that should be the guy pitching.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, again, but let's go back to the sequencing. What is this business about? What does it do? Is it so? And again, just my question here. And Riz, this relates to what you guys are doing. Everyone is just, what is this about? I don't think it's about Canafcrete. I mean, if anything, it's about concrete and the difficulty of constructing with concrete this stuff that's not sustainable. Because what you're doing can be about not something. That can be okay. What is it about? Because and here's the thing is, if it's about Canafcrete, that just sounds too weird. I think it requires too much explanation. It's too esoteric. But if that just happens to be a convenient way of implementing this big, more important thing, and there can potentially be alternatives to it, then I don't get too distracted in thinking that it hangs on that. So what is the business about?
I think it's about changing people's mindsets about how we build. Yeah. I think if we can offer them a better alternative, a cheaper alternative, a faster alternative, they would consider. Because it's not easy to push this technology. I have been banging my head for the last 5 years, right? It's not easy. And really, governments don't care. Developers, contractors, they're only looking at the bottom dollar at the end of the day. So we're trying to offer them, something. I mean, they all realize that there's climate change problems. There's great shortage of proper quality housing. They're all building crap. We know that. A lot of low-cost housing in Malaysia is just not livable. So having a material that offers a more comfortable environment, a well-insulated environment from the climate. We have such hot climate and wet climate here. I think we need to get this message out there for the people, right? The buyers have to determine this, I think, at the end of the day.
And are you able to do that because of the material or because of the prefab component?
Because of the material, because of Canafcrete. It's highly insulative against thermal heat and or it can even save energy, for example, because it's highly insulative, if you're talking about air-conditioned environments.
And what about concrete?
Concrete will conduct heat into the building. It will retain heat and it will continue to radiate the heat inside the building throughout the night. So concrete buildings are, very uncomfortable.
Okay, start your pitch with the problems with concrete buildings.
We live in a world that is too uncomfortable. It's too hot. We burn too much energy, and that's all because of the materials that we use today. Concrete, totally unsustainable.
Okay, now just introduce. So that was a good start, and now because you got me realizing, just with the simple part, it's hot all day, and then you go to sleep at night, and you're getting cooked inside the little oven that's your house because the concrete is hot, and you're just inside this little oven. But so I get that. So I mean, right? Yep. Good smart comment there. So just let's start again. Let's make concrete the bad guy. Explain why, then introduce this new material, explain why that's important, show how it's related to sustainability and everything. Just in 30 seconds. You should be able to do that in 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll try. Um, we live in a world that's very uncomfortable. The heat gets to us every day, and we're just burning up too much energy. And why? It's because we live in concrete buildings. Concrete is made out of cement, stone, and sand, and all that stuff, just generates more heat and radiates heat throughout the night in the places where we sleep. What we're offering today is a better material, something more sustainable, something that insulates the buildings, something that keeps the occupants comfortable, and that is Canafcrete.
Okay, boom. That's the beginning of his TED talk. He got my interest now. Agree with that? So boom, we got a bad guy and then we got a good guy. Okay, and now he's gonna tell me. Now I want to know what this Canafcrete is because now it's set in opposition to something. And and also what's good about what he just did is he gets a little bit pissed when he talks about concrete, right? He's like, this just doesn't make sense that we're doing this, and we can feel it. Like I'm coming with a solution. I have something. Okay, now I want to partner with someone like that. I like that. I feel it. Tim, give us the deliberately bad version.
You mean about concrete or Canafcrete? Sorry.
Give us a bad start.
Oh. Hello, my name is Tim Tan. I'm the CEO of Affordable Abodes, and I've been working 5 years at developing a technology for you that will help you have a better home. Shall I end there? Or do you want to be tortured more?
That's pretty terrible.
Okay, thank you.
Compare that with just the emotional truth of the version that he gave us right before that. Okay, so main takeaway at this point, if Tim can be more of himself and bring that bad guy feeling about concrete, I think everything else will just coast after that. Then it becomes kind of details. Okay, good. I like it. Who else wants to talk to us?
Thank you, Sifu.
Good job, man. I like it.
Great job, Tim. Maybe we could hear from either Andrew or Fauzal. I don't think we've heard you guys pitch yet.
Sure. I need to move to my laptop for a bit. Give me 1 minute.
Okay, sure.
In the meantime, with others, Riz, give us an update.
Hi, Neil. We're just redoing our pitch from the last lesson that you gave us. So Nick isn't here. He was the one who was supposed to deliver it. He's been called into a meeting. So I'm hoping he can come back in before we finish and deliver the pitch. So if you could just be patient with us. And if we don't manage to do it today, we will upload something onto the website for you to give us feedback on.
Cool, no worries.
Thanks. Oh, I have been working on the introduction, the 1 minute introduction. Maybe I could deliver that. It was based on some feedback that you gave me from the last lessons a week ago, which was just an introduction. It starts like this. In Cambodia, there are over 8 million people that don't have access to clean water. Currently, people spend an enormous amount of time and income on collecting water from ponds, rivers, and hand pumps. One of the biggest levers we have on human well-being and the well-being of the planet is by simply installing tap water at the home. And then I move into the actual deliverance of the pitch.
I dig it. I like it.
It's pretty much based on what you kind of gave me last time, actually. So it's a lot of it's your work.
No, I like it. It gets me immediately oriented to the scope and significance and meaning of it. I like it.
Thank you.
All right, I think Faisal is back. Faisal, are you here?
Yep. Okay,
cool.
Share my screen. Yep, can everybody see my screen? Yeah, I'll start now. Hi everybody, my name is Fauzal, co-founder of Sampangan Indonesia. We are here to, we're building better houses made from landfill waste. This is a problem that we're solving. Indonesia is in a housing crisis where there's a backlog of 1.2 million houses yearly and over 26 million people living below poverty line who cannot afford proper homes. And these are the problems that is caused by expensive cost of building homes. Housing poverty, structurally unsafe housing. So when there's earthquake, it will just all go down. And in a lot of people, even killing people. And lack of affordable earthquake and fire safe materials, creating a hazard for the people that is living below, inside them. We needed a way to build safer and more affordable homes. So that's where we come in. So we build affordable homes from landfill waste. So we convert the mountains of waste and we convert that into homes. Like we are helping low-income families and property developers to build homes faster, cheaper, and safer by converting waste into prefabricated building materials made from activated carbon from waste. So how do we do it? So basically, we take in all of the waste into our waste processing technology and we convert them into activated carbon and other products. So from activated carbon, we process them even further to become carbon tech materials and building systems. And from there, that's how we're able to build the next generation low-cost housing. The value proposition and features of our product is that it is 40% cheaper than the current alternatives because number one, it's made from waste, and number two, because of the prefabricated modular system, we're able to build it much faster. Instead of a few months, we can finish it in just a matter of 1 week. It is safe to be built by layperson because of the modularity and the Lego-like component to it. So, and the material itself is also very light and easy to be lifted, making it doable by almost anybody. And it's not dependent on professional builders and developer. And on top of that, it's also earthquake and fire safe. The reason is activated carbon is already the most core component that cannot be burnt anymore, right? And on top of that, it have properties that make it resistant to earthquake as well. And number four, for property developers that cares about it, it's made from sustainably sourced materials that can also add value to their branding. So this is what the product looks like. So we have modular panels and systems, as well as columns and beams that is also imbued with activated carbon. We have wall panels, foundations, all are made from waste. So as a comparison to the existing technology, the comparison would go straight to bricks and concrete compared to our materials. But in short, like competitive advantage that we have over the existing traditional material is that we are lighter, we're more earthquake proof, fireproof, and also the cost is more affordable. So this is how the business model and revenue model looks like. So Sampangan also runs a waste processing service business in which we source the waste and we get paid for it. And on the downstream industry, where we use the output from the process and we use them to create building materials, creating a new business model that we're running now. And there's also two other new solutions that are in the pipeline that we are preparing to complete the whole ecosystem, which is off-grid renewable energy and also cooked drinkable clean water. All are tied to our waste processing operations, creating one whole complete circular economy. These are traction. Our technology has been deployed in 18 machines across 7 provinces, and we've grown almost 10x from 2019 despite the pandemic, and we're expecting to grow even more in the coming years. This is the list of team that we have. We come from a very diverse background. Myself from banking and finance. We have Hannah, our architect, Dr. Ishani, the scientist officer that have experience in biochemical engineering for 25 years with multiple world and global awards. And we have Aldi, which is a property developer himself, right? We also have Jekka for our media and communication. And we also supported by mentors and advisors that has been helping us and advising us throughout the way. So we're seeking 2 million in early stage financing in the form of convertible or venture debt and project financing. At the moment, we are still bootstrapping and we're growing the business through retained earnings. We believe this round of financing will last us around 15 to 18 months, enough for us to be self-sustainable. And with this round of financing, we will be ramping up the technology and product development. We will be deploying more pilots that will unlock new markets. We will be building digital and data capabilities in our ecosystem, ramping up hiring, and lastly, commence broader marketing. Thank you so much. Hoping to be collaborating and discussing with you.
Dude, I think that's very strong. It's very, very clear. I get it.
Thank you, Neil. Is there any, what can I improve?
But what's the help me understand quickly. What's the question I should ask you right now? Because it kind of feels too good to be true. Like we got all this waste, we can process it, we can make this stuff that's fire resistant and so on. the houses actually look beautiful? What's
Well,
the problem?
the biggest kryptonite for us right now is actually the where is the supply of waste, and then where is the project going to be executed. So we have a geographical dependency because, for example, if the landfill is in Jakarta, for example, and our project is in Kalimantan, right? So there's going to be like a huge logistic cost that need to be made. Well, our challenge now is to make sure that we are able to secure a home development project at the same geography where we also have a waste processing operations.
And how easy is it to set up those operations?
Uh, it's pretty challenging because if we're looking at the volume of activated carbon that we'll be needing, we would need a government scale project at landfills, right? So we're talking B2G, right? And we all know how B2G the sales cycle could be, right? And so that would be like one of our main challenges. We have an alternative that we're exploring now, which is we're exploring two hypotheses. The first one is instead of relying to work with the government and landfills, we try to create our own um, zero waste and circular hub where we are going in more on the B2B and B2C side of the waste market. So we do waste collection and waste processing for offices, restaurants, hotels, and homes or residential areas. The second hypothesis is we are exploring to do agriculture waste instead. The reason why is from our process, the conversion rate from waste to activated carbon is different from residential waste and agriculture waste. So for residential waste, the conversion rate is around 1 to 5%, which is very low. So in order to hit the quota that we would need, then we need to process a lot of residential waste. Alternatively, in agriculture waste, the conversion rate is up to 30 to 40%, which is significantly higher. And we would need much less input and operation to achieve the quota that we would need to do big projects.
What is
Uh,
agriculture waste?
for example, palm oil plantations, right? When they're processing in their processing plant, when they convert into crude palm oil, there's a lot of waste called empty fruit bunch, which is like around 30-40% of their operation. So, and this waste actually have a very high carbon yield, up to 30%, right? So that's like one example of agriculture waste. Another example would be the coconut industry, which is Indonesia's pretty big of because we're an archipelagic uh, country. We have a lot of shorelines and a lot of, but the challenge is most of these guys are smallholder farmers. So the challenge in if you were to go into residential waste, we can charge for the waste, and then we can also make money from the output. But in agriculture waste, there's less likely chance for us to make money from the input of waste processing, but we need to be self-sustainable on the output side only, which with the conversion rate of activated carbon that is high, it's commercially feasible actually. That even if you
What do
don't get paid, we're okay.
what do they do with the agriculture waste now?
Uh, for palm oil, for example, the agriculture waste, they dump it back into the plantation area. So they believe it to be adding nutrition and making compost for the plant. But in reality, what is actually happening is that that waste is creating problems for the plantation in the form of fungi that is attached to the trees, which impacting in the like reduction of productivity of these plantations. But it's a habit thing because they've been doing it for so long, right? So for us to come in and then we to give a very clear value proposition for them of why should they change that operations. So we just need the first client to prove that it worked, and then once we have that, then would be easily be duplicated in other agriculture use cases as well.
Just the 1 to 5 versus 30 to 40. That's a
Yeah,
enormous. But
yeah.
what about the availability? Supposing you could get the agriculture waste, is there enough of it to
Oh
service
yeah,
the
that's
demands?
there's plenty. There's millions of hectares of agriculture lands in Indonesia that we can tap into. But most of these agriculture areas have a limitation of where most of it is concentrated in Kalimantan and Sumatra, but not in Java, because Java is very densely populated, right? So whereas on the other hand, our hypothesis of market would be mostly in Java first. Probably, we might be wrong, but so there's a geographical gap that we need to solve.
Is it still an interesting business if you just do the work where you can easily do the work and expand later, or there's not enough demand?
It's I think it's more of a market making activity. It's doable, but then we need to create a market where we have geographical operations, which I think might be possible because one of our partner, Aldi, which is a property developer, he is also part of an organization called Real Estate Indonesia, where he's managing a community of 1,000 property developers, from the smallest ones creating budget house to the ones that is creating cities, and he's part of the management committee. So I think there is a very big possibility for us to open up access to any geographical area in Indonesia.
Okay, so just sorry, folks. My feeling on this is it sounds very interesting, and I don't think he needs story. I think it's pretty clear what they're doing, and the main challenges are just these
Operational.
operational, logistical challenges. But my opinion is that the pitch is pretty well dialed in. You just need to test your hypotheses and see. But we'd be tweaking at the margin, probably wasting your time if we tried to slap some story on top of it. I don't think you need to do that. I think you need to figure out these other stuff.
Got it.
Good, very strong.
Thank you so much, Neil.
Cheers, man. I like it. Kath, what else?
I think we have Andrew here. Andrew also would like to go next.
You see my screen?
Yep, we see it.
Okay. Sorry, the slide is not moving yet.
We it sounds like you're in the other, like it sounds like you're talking to us from outside your window.
It's a little bit faint, Andrew.
Sorry, my laptop is also like walking slow. Okay. Because like I'm my apartment is like beside the road, so the people are like crossing by, like lots of like say like they're using like speaker microphone sort of thing. So I just close my window so the voice like
I think we would rather hear the noise outside, and if you could change your audio settings on Zoom, because right now it's the noise gate is cutting you off.
Yeah, sorry.
So if you go down to the microphone and then you go to audio settings, probably your suppressed background noise is set on high right now.
Andrew, can we test your audio first?
My slide is not moving yet, so sorry to give you wait.
No worries.
No worries.
It's like currently like internet is not going well here in Myanmar, so
Yeah, no problem, Andrew. We see your slides though. Are you able to see it when you present?
okay. So hello, my name is Andrew. We are near, and in the world, like internet migration is increased every year. When you look into Yangon, 30% of populations are from rural area. So, like even in Yangon, like a lot of people are coming into Yangon. They're looking for jobs. They're looking for better education. So in that population, 52 are women. The problem is that when you get into Yangon, you have to find a place to stay. So here's the problem is when you look up to rent apartment, you have to pay like 6 months 1 year upfront. So a lot of people can't afford it. And even if you have so many, you have to find co-tenants to spare the costs. But it's not easy job to find like co-tenants. And living alone is quite overrated if you rent apartment alone. So a lot of people can't afford like 6 months 1 year upfront. So they mostly they have to stay in hostels. You can see like very small room, super crowded, not very in good hygiene condition. So when you compare to like 6 month rent to your income, if you make like 200 USD per month, like 200 rent apartment which is 6 times higher than your income. If you look up to 300 USD rent apartment to rent 6 months, which is like 9 times higher than your monthly income. So a lot of people struggle to rent apartment here in Yangon. So we like to offer a solution. We save your money, and we and also have the apartment owner to make money, and we help people to get co-tenants, so they will never feel alone. We offer rental loan for low income employee. We focus on small big companies like grocery shop, small restaurant, small shop, some mom and pop shop, and other small business, something like small factory. these employees need to like manually pay off, and they do these transition online for 100%. So like how we do is like we're asking for like employer recommendations and like employee like who rent apartment for 6 months. They have to grant each other. So for example, like 4 people, 4 groups of people, they would like to rent apartments. They have to grant each other. They need to ask for employer recommendations and other things. They have to show us like their income proof and other like work recommendation documents and other things. So to apply the rent loan from our company. So like when we look into customer journey, they came into our website and they can look for like affordable rented apartment. So we are listing thousands of apartment in our website, and they can also apply for rent loan if they found out one apartment they would like to stay in. So they can also book the apartment and they can also apply for rent loan. So currently we are connecting with 15 landlord directly. We are working with 100 agency. We are working with 15 street broker. So we are currently having like almost 1,000 listings in our website. Our business model is like we are making revenue from our rent loan. Like we ask for transaction fee. We ask for service fee. We cannot call like interest because like we are not getting a financial license. So we are just doing this kind of thing with like service fee and so on. And we are also taking money from brokerage fee from our partner brokers and landlords. So we are kind of like having 2 income streams. Currently, like we are working on our spreadsheet. So we are currently giving 10 loan transition to 10 households. Like we have done in previous 1 year, so that the survey is 100%. We just only needed to remind to make the regular payoff at the end of the month. Other things like they take regular payoff, so we got like 100% survey. We only focus on like small and medium company in Yangon. Now, when we look at market size, like normally we talk like even Yangon residents have their own house, but not like that. But when you look at it like that, 35% do not own their houses. Like majority of the people came from rural area. Even for Yangon residents, a lot of households do not own their house. They have to rely on rental market. So we look into the data, it's like over 500 households are relying on rental markets. Almost 3 million would be our target market. So like over 1 million would be like women. It's like when if we like to scale up these surveys, so we need to partner with financial institutions. So we are currently working on the proposal with Air Bank, which is one of the top banks in Myanmar, and we are also reaching out to Yomo Bank and KBC Bank. Currently, the situation in Myanmar is not stable yet, so these processes are a little bit pending right now. We came out from Fania, located associated in Myanmar. So our another investor is like he is working for a bank. So we have got a lot of advice and suggestion from our Asia investor. So our competitive advantages would be like we kind of business like very flex to the markets because like no one is having this kind of problem. No one is solving this problem. Like the problem is very strong and like very alive. And like nobody is having this kind of like cheap apartment. Like a lot of apartments are currently empty because because people can't afford 6 months, 12 months upfront. So the landlord cannot make the apartment to get rented easily. So a lot of apartments are empty in Yangon, and so we are kind of like providing like customer care center, and you can check like landlord profile as well. Maybe you later on we will be putting like rating system, and you can find like property very quickly and easily because like a lot of player current in the market, they only focus on like higher price apartment. They only focus on like mini condo and like luxury apartment. So we only focus on like very very cheap and affordable apartment. We talk about women because it's like 100%, 17% of our customers are women because like for better accommodations, women are more in it because like men can live on any place like technically. So like women are looking for like better and like safer environment to stay in for a long time. When you compare the margin, so like we kind of like looking out to have separate initiative for affordable houses for women and our academy. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good, thank you very much.
Sorry for the background noise and like echo.
No worries. Can you just go back to the very first slide number 1 or slide number 2?
Sure. Yeah, so my laptop is working.
No problem. Everyone else, listen. I think this is a good example of a case where early on, at the beginning, even before you get into the pitch, you use the simplest pitch technique ever. You describe what your user's life is like right now, and then you show what the user's life is going to be like after the product, the service, the technology. Remember, that's called the delta. And then you show the user's struggle right now, you show what her life is going to be like after, and then you go into the deck and the pitch and you show us how you make that all happen. I think this would benefit because right now, yeah, slide 2, we see this and we get these statistics, but what is really impactful for your audience is not just to talk about these abstract numbers, but talk about a specific lady. She's coming from here, or she would like to come from here to Yangon to work, but she needs a year's rent as a down payment. But the reason why she's coming here is for the opportunity. She doesn't have the money. And just talk about the challenges that she faces and the sacrifices that she makes in order to make it happen. And then you describe what her same exact journey would be like with your technology in place. And I see, okay, that's going to make her life much better, I'm guessing. That difference is so stark for that person. I don't want her to have to suffer through what she's going through right now. That seems absurd. I want to support you to make this happen because I see the impact you had on that one lady, how her life would be different. And then you show this slide and you say, by the way, and then you get into give me some sense of that, there are a lot of ladies like that. But what would save you, I think, a lot of slides, because if you do that at the beginning, and I understand more or less the financial benefit that you're giving her and the ability to organize the roommates and so on, when I see that, probably you can cut out about a third of the slides that you have after if you just explain it to me at the beginning. Okay, so so Andrew, that's my advice to you. But everyone else, just remember the basic technique that I'm saying, which is before you even get into the pitch, just say, look, this is my user's struggle right now. This is what the problem looks like for an actual person. This is what her life is going to be like after my product, my service, my technology. And then you give the pitch. And if you do that at the beginning before you show any slides, then when you're going through your slides, people kind of understand it already. And it makes it easy for them to make sense of it.
So, Nick, like my question is like, how many slides should I use like to describe my customer persona?
I think the most important thing is just to describe the problem that people face right now. And probably you don't need any slides. You just tell me and I get it. She's coming
right.
a year of earnings, rental to invest. That's a big challenge for her. And so she ends up staying in some place that's not particularly clean with 28 other people. And you can just tell me without showing me anything.
Right.
And I think the impact that, if you were pitching to me, the impact that you would want to have, and probably you won't be pitching to someone like me, but it would be nice if when you're explaining truthfully to me what she goes through, if I get a little emotionally upset, like I think that seems that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And then you show me what you're going to do. And then I want to support you, right? Because I want to be part of making that lady's life better. And you can probably do all of that, Andrew, before you even get into your slides.
Right.
Okay, so I would just go to your title slide, slide number 1. Over slide number, you don't need to worry about it. It doesn't matter. So my point is, I would just have the title slide up, and just tell me what I need to know there, and then everything else is just details.
Right.
Same with the Lego bricks. Boom, just tell me right there at the beginning. Same with the tap water. Boom, just tell me right there at the beginning. And right, we don't need to beat around the bush and slowly build it up. Just tell people more or less the high level takeaway. There it is. And then we can get into the unit economics and the market size and all of that later. And people have some ideas in place already that just allow them to understand that stuff much easier.
So I would say like Susie came in Yangon because like she got offered job. He got a job offer. So he came to Yangon. So like he did looking for like apartment to stay in. But like in the market, she normally have to be like 6 months when year iPhone. So she's like like junior. Just recently got the job, so she doesn't have that amount of money. So she have to stay in a hostel with other 20 people. So she's feel like very noisy. Like she saw like it's like experiences like crowded populations in Hong Kong. So she feel dizzy. It's like whatever she came into the office, she's not happy anymore. Or whatever she came into the hostel after job, she's not happy anymore. So she decided to leave Yangon after like 6 months. So she's not happy staying in Yangon.
Boom, exactly that. And say that happens all the time because we haven't used technology. We don't have systems in place to solve her housing problem. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help her solve her housing problem.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Andrew, good. I like it.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. I think Nick from Tap Effect is here. So Nick and Riz, are you guys ready for your sort of improved upon pitch from the last time?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
No, we're still working on it, so we haven't completed it. It's still the same pitch that we have from last time.
Okay, no worries. So let me just. One remark about what we've been doing. And I'm going to tell you something obvious, but it's my duty to tell you this. You're going to pitch to a bunch of different people. You're going to pitch to investors. Some of you will end up doing B2B sales. You have to talk to folks in companies. Some of you will be trying to get support from corporate partners, other folks. And I'm going to tell you something obvious. Forgive me for it, but you need to think about it. Everyone you talk to is going to have their own interests. The interest that I've been adopting in this session and the previous session, just because it allows us just to all be on the same page, is more or less an investor interest. And the investors, a safe operating assumption is going to be that the investors are concerned about a sustainable business first, and then second, social impact. That's a safe operating assumption. When you talk to the partners, it might not be so clear. Maybe they need to, and let's just be honest, maybe they need to tick some boxes, and maybe they're more concerned primarily with the social part. And when you talk to sales, it's going to be a whole different pitch because they're just going to be pitching to their specific interests. But what you need to do, no matter who you're pitching to, and look, again, being obvious, is really ask, what is the most pressing question for them? What are their priorities? Okay, and everyone you talk to, you want to make sure that they understand what it is that you're doing, and then you retweak your pitch to address the most predictable questions of whoever it is that you're talking to. Okay, so we have the investor pitch. We've been working on that here. You take it, and it's a good starting point because once you really think, listen to me, once you really identify, stay with me, the investor pitch, because what you need to do in the investor pitch is figure out, okay, what actually is my business doing? And then when you figure that out and you know what it is, then when you go do the B2B sales, you tell them, you explain to them what their problem is, make them appreciate the urgency of solving it, and it's much easier. Once you figure out what problem you're solving, then when you go talk to the partner who needs to check some boxes maybe, maybe you take that same idea and maybe they don't even appreciate that there's a problem where you've identified that there's a problem. And then you take that problem, you explain it to them, and you make it very clear to them, look, when we solve this problem, it's going to be very important and it's going to address the concerns that you have, the good that you're trying to do, because here's a problem, you need to understand it. And in all of these, listen, stay with me. In all of these three different cases, the fundamental core is how do you explain what it is that you are actually doing, the problem that you're actually solving, and how you're solving it. And as soon as you crack that, no matter who you go to, you have a very good, non jargony, non high level, non metaphysical, but a very clear way of getting people quickly to see what the problem is and how you're solving it. That's the fundamental value of having a good story. Because no matter who you tell it to, they see very, okay, got it. Understand this is big, this is massive. I understand what they're doing. And then you just tailor it to the audience. And what you need to keep doing is you need to keep squeezing and compressing and figure out, what are we doing? Is this about canaf or about lightweight materials that can be produced on site effectively, lower? Like, what is it all about? And don't suppose that whatever you've been repeating to everyone you've been talking to for the past year is what it's really about. Maybe you haven't come up exactly what that is, but that should be your obsession. You understand? Okay, so it's not about having some story. It's really about identifying what it is, the problem that you're actually solving, and articulating it so that people really get it. That's really what we've been meaning by story here. How do we show people what this really is and what we're doing? That's the fundamental problem for you. Andrew, you're going to say something.
Hey. Sorry, can you repeat that?
I just saw you on mute, so I thought you were going to say something.
No, not really.
Okay. No worries. Okay, Kath, that's it for me. If you post stuff, I will give you whatever feedback I can, and the feedback I can give you will depend on what you post. If you post, I said this before, if you just post your deck, there's not really much I can say because I don't know what you're going to say when you're showing that deck. But if you post some audio alongside it, or better yet, audio over the deck as it progresses, it makes it much easier for me to say something meaningful. Okay, good.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I think, I think a few of you might still be uploading additional things on the Mighty Networks page. Neil, if some of them have, for example, a different pitch for, let's say, a B2B sales client, maybe get some feedback on that as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right, great. Any questions before we let Neil go? And Neil, really appreciate you joining us today after the crazy morning that you've had.
Thank you very much for having me.
Neil,
any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
are you really going back to North Carolina? You don't like Singapore anymore?
Man, I love Singapore, but I'm just homesick too. We go back in July.
Yeah, I got you there, man. Have a safe trip home.
Thanks, brother.
All right, if I could just ask everybody to turn on their cameras for a quick photo with Neil. And then we'll break before we resume to our next session.
Wait, Fauzo's got to brush his hair. Hold on a second.
Thank you.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you again, Neil. And thank you, everybody, for being so open.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. See you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So we have another session today, but happy to break first for a few minutes. And then maybe we could all come back in about 15 minutes or so. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you. Sites.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Okay, so we'll dive in today a bit in the future of affordable housing. Let me just open this one. Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
Okay. So what we're doing in the next, let's say, just in a few minutes, we'll go to a bit of numbers crunch. We'll do that first, so we can then focus more on like the technologies and what we're seeing and what we are experiencing moving forward. We are quickly looking at the theory of change. I know you've seen this for several times already. You know why we're doing also ShelterTech and what we hope to actually see in the future in affordable housing. Since you are actually the future of affordable housing, we hope, or that's what we really hope and try to achieve. I'll show you a bit of your peers in the other cohorts. I mean, some of them you have already encountered, and then we'll have a small engagement an engagement session, or where I'm also asking you guys some questions. This is my future of not affordable housing, but future of family. I'll just put her out. Okay, so I mean, looking again at the numbers, I would like to highlight that housing, you all know that, but housing is a huge driver and contributor to the GDP. We've just launched a big research paper called The Cornerstone of Recovery, which is focusing on like what is happening in the very near future with housing after COVID, or after we think COVID is ending. And we can see, for example, in the Philippines that housing will be a big contributor with 50%, 15%. For the past or post-COVID, for post-COVID, we are expecting for Asia a much slower recovery actually than, for example, in advanced economies. So even until 2024, there will be still a loss of like -8% in GDP. EM Asia means emerging markets in Asia. So for example, excluding China, but including, for example, the Philippines. This is different also to, for example, to the United States or Europe, which can then recover faster. So again, like I try to see again where are we standing to give a bit more context, and also how the near future and the mid and long-term future will look like. So I mean, again, we all know that housing matters, but maybe this slide will also help you, or if you are explaining with to others why housing actually matters, also in terms of COVID and also post-COVID or post-pandemic. What we are also seeing is that housing, even it has such a huge contribution to the GDP. It's nowhere in the focus areas of COVID. So we have, of course, for example, WASH or health or gender or food security, but housing isn't really there. So that's something we need to change sooner than later. Another indicator why we are heavily investing into the future or into innovations and are looking at numbers in the future is that in 2025, we are estimating that around 1.6 billion people, and I think this number even went up from the UN, will have inadequate or unsafe shelters or housing, and or will be financially stretched. So it's still a huge number we still need to tackle. We always talked about the vision of TCIS or of ShelterTech, but maybe also to look again at like Habitat's vision is really is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. So that's something we are always working on. So enough from numbers crunching. I just wanted to give a bit of context. What are the technologies we should or can also foresee? So for example, we are looking at technologies which are, this is not just ShelterTech, and I'm trying to make, to paint a little bit bigger picture. But I mean also in PropTech, ShelterTech, everything which has to deal with smart cities and infrastructure, that's actually also something we're looking at. So there are different technologies like IoT and connectivity with digital solutions or digital transformation solutions. But then there is also technologies we have to look at in the sustainable building technologies or storage and energy efficiencies. And then, of course, in the Industry 4.0. Have you ever, I'm not sure, in Europe, for example, Industry 4.0 is a huge thing, and this is like, you know, defining everything which it has to do with infrastructure and smart cities. Is that also in Asia a term you're broadly using?
In Indonesia, yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Then I'll just touch it a little bit. So I mean, again, like we had the different cycles of innovations, right? And one assumption is that Industry 4.0, which has to do again with machine learning or AI or connectivity, is the next cycle, and we need to be in the forefront. Now, these technologies is really the future. However, there is a bit of a gap of, you know, affordable housing, which has so much more to do with like basic needs than smart city needs. And for example, you know, IoT, I'm not sure how much IoT would be, or Internet of Things will be used in the near future in, for example, in the heterogeneous homes, right? So I think that's something we all will need to be aware of, and that's also something we are trying to bridge to get actually closer to the affordable housing market, rather to stick stiffly into the medium or high-end market, because we are much like IoT will most likely more be used there. Good. However, I'm diving now in a bit in, you know, a few technologies just to get a few out, which are now more and more increasing also in the markets. For example, robotics. I think robotics is so interesting to look at, and I mean the demand of construction robotics is being estimated to grow annually, you know, by 25% more or less. And robotics or roboters are being used now already widely. Again, for example, for vehicles, autonomous, that's something which you can see all the time in use. In India, it's a lot of times being used as cleaning facilitators. So for example, you have large skyscrapers, and it's very it's very dangerous to actually be outside of those buildings. So robotics is being used for this kind of work. But then of course you also have like for painting or loading or taking out, you know, taking out a house, or if you have, for example, fire, or also water. Roboters are now often being the first responders going inside to a building, and I think this is a good use of like also future technology. Drones. Also there we have a huge increase of drones. It's safer also, you know, during building sites. It helps as well, for example, in let's say in affordable housing or in areas where you don't have all the land still already mapped out. Drones are helping a lot of times mapping out where we should build. So for example, let's say in the Philippines, you also have a drone company where they're showing the government where people can build. So the next typhoon won't just like wash away again the houses which were built. So drones are really useful for different things. So again, like 3D modeling or surveying the land. It's improving security. So again, security also in the construction or building site is crucial. And then also for transportation less, because drones are still very limited, but for example, for inspection. Well, renewable energy, I'm sure Prasoon, for example, could tell here more, or many of you can tell here a lot. I mean, renewable energy is being looked at from so many different governments, and how to enter really the renewable energy source. I couldn't find per country really where in Southeast Asia, which renewable energy source is the most used. But again, we do have solar, wind, bioenergy, hydropower, others, which are mainly being used, and also in affordable housing. I would say at the moment solar is the most used one. Then I wanted to leave a bit the buildings and just to give a little bit of an outside view. I mean, everything we're doing is always based on data, and we are using computers, right? Many times to actually store our data, and really quantum computers are computers which are being developed right now and putting in a lot of investments. So, and the one of the big things of quantum computers is that they are so much faster, and that they will solve problems based on data so much faster also in the future than supercomputers which we're using now. So just also, if you're looking at the mid or further future, just in terms of technologies, that's also something we will experience, I guess, in our generation, to have even faster processors. Then another thing also in looking at the future of like VCs and PropTech or property technologies. So we are seeing that there is a huge increase also in venture capital coming into the PropTech area. I know that in Southeast Asia and also, for example, in the Andean region, sometimes it does not feel that way. That we hope that we can change that by really making ShelterTech one of the top 5 investment or impact investment categories. But I mean, there are indicators that VC money is coming in largely into PropTech. So as said before, the goal is really to become one of the top 5 impact investment categories, because we also see that capital is a game changer in ShelterTech, or in housing tech, or in housing, or in property or real estate in general. So looking again like at why we're doing. So we have all these indicators and technologies, and I just went into very few, and we really want to change the narrative, right? We really want to have a contribution to the SDGs. And we're doing this by having our goal to increase the quality of life of low-income households. And because we believe that on one side, we need to follow the ecosystem path, which means we need to influence in the future, or now and the future, especially impact investors, that's the ecosystem path. And on the other hand side, the entrepreneurs, to improve actually the businesses or help to scale you guys, that we can reach the goal of improved housing ecosystems, and with that also improved or increased quality of life, and which then contributes to the SDGs. Again, like you have heard maybe also from startups in India, we have, but I would like to also show you the ones in I have here in for example, Columbia Hope. They're developing mobile modular shelter for emergencies, or people experiences homelessness. They are raising 500,000 and they're closing it soon. We have Silper, for example, who are having also pipes into communities with water pipes. They were just winning, well, in 2019, the Urban Water Challenge. and having a lot of different pilots with governments. So I think this is also a big success story in in the other part of the world. Well, Modulus, you know. And then there's also Jenga makers. So she won many prizes because she was one of the first one who were using cement and recycled polymer to do bricks, right, and in Africa. And this got shown by, for example, the UN or even the World Economic Forum, and so many more institutions, and they really could grow their business and have like a huge impact by now. So they recycled 20 tons of plastic since 2017 and created more than 100 jobs in Nairobi, and they're still very much growing. So we hope, of course, that also that multiplicator effect also in the current cohort, and we can already see that right now. Good. So this was just a short sneak peek into the technologies and also numbers based on GDP. What I would like to do right now is to go into Mural. I'll share the link in a second, but maybe you have questions based on the presentation I just gave. No?
Any questions?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have one. Do we have corporate partners in the property development sectors in the areas that Habitat for Humanity is working on that we can channel or pilot our innovations at with them? It's probably like lower friction for us to get to work with them. So maybe that would be great.
Are you asking for developers in your region?
Yep. Of any scale.
I'm sure we do. And if you can go into the mural, the link I just shared in the chat, I think that's something we would want to look at. We were also questioning ourselves how we should really help also from like the habitat side. And I think it would make sense to know exactly from you guys who you would want to be in touch with, right? As like corporations or organizations. So for example, I would like, how much time do we still have, Kat? Still 20 minutes, right?
Yes.
Roughly. Okay. So what I would like to do the next 5 minutes, everyone, is that you're looking at the mural. We have several questions here. Are you all already on mural? Not yet. So I have 3.
I see Annabelle is here.
If you have troubles, just let me know.
So Kongi is asking if they need to sign in to access the board, Lizanne.
I think you just need to, there's no signing in, I hope, in my opinion.
Okay. So I think Kongi and Andrew will just sign up for an account now, and then they should be on the board shortly.
Oh wait, I can send you this. Maybe this is better. Andrew, can you try to use the second link, perhaps?
Yes, second link works.
Okay, great.
Great, thanks, Faisal. Bazan, should I can share my screen just so that
Yeah, I think that would be
people
great.
know, yeah, where to go, right? And you can
What
kind of
we are doing.
yeah, what's on the board. Okay, hold on. There we go.
So again, like future affordable housing. I would like to know also your opinion and how you are seeing it and how we can actually all together engage. So what I would want to do is, let's say the next 5 minutes, to list down everything you think has something to do with the questions I'm asking in the blue boxes. So again, for example, what are the future trends and topics? Some of you are, you can just write as well your own topic in there, right? Let's say CE or fintech or whatever. Then how do you feel about the future? Then future also of ShelterTech. So how do you want to keep in touch? So again, as Faisal asked before, who are the organizations for perhaps you would want to be involved with? And you can be very specific, right? Like being connected with X. And then what we really also would like to do is, who are the top 3 investors in your regions or just in general you would want to be connected with? So this can give us an indicator on what we should actually work on. If you're looking at it, you can actually, if you're double clicking into the board, there should be a post-it appearing. Can you maybe try if you just like double click and then there should be a post-it. Okay, it seems like it works. And then you can just write into the post-it. Yeah, all clear? Could we do it 5 minutes? Okay, let's just start. I'll count 5 minutes. Please just enter whatever you have in your thoughts.
I can see our babies, think that they'd be sweet. Baby blue eyes, people will fall at her feet. I can see our babies, think that they'd be sweet. Baby blue eyes, people will fall at her feet. Can you see it? Is it all in my mind? Can you
Thank you. Did we turn off the music, please? Thank you. Music always helps, right? Okay, we have a lot of things on the board. I would like to, it's nice to have actually quite, or a majority post-its also in the feelings, which are more positive rather than not so happy. Thank you very much for sharing. It's always important also to realize where, in which reality we are in right now. For the investors, I wanted to ask, again, it's helpful if you're putting in, again, the names you really would want to be in touch with. So again, like the big players like Y Combinator, for sure helps, but are there, for example, some impact investors or maybe even CVC, so corporate venture capital, for example, in your areas you would want to be in touch with? I mean, what we are also seeing ourselves is like the ambassadors of you guys, right? And trying to open doors as well for you. So maybe can someone unmute who wrote something in there? Are those more, again, like investors on like the impact investment side, or do you see, for example, in your area or in your startup that other institutions should come in, or is it really like impact investors you would want to target?
On my side, I put in Insignia, Venture, Y Combinator, Sequoia, and Social Capital. So for the first three, they're traditional VCs, but like recently they started to also invest in non-digital startups as well. So I think that's a good opportunity for like startups like ourselves who are mostly offline. And the last one, Social Capital by Chamat Pali Hapitya. is a social investor. So they're mostly based in the U.S., but then their investment thesis as well as their uh, tenure of investment is not as short as what normal VCs are, which is only 5 to 7 years. For them, they're willing to hold for as long as needed until impact is made.
Okay. So you're saying basically both has a high probability, and because we don't have as many impact investors yet in the market, we must also look at the traditional investors as well.
Yep.
Okay. So I think Reese also wrote that, right? Both impact and commercial investors with previous infrastructure or connections.
For us, like we need to create value facts, like whenever we talk to like regional investor or like big player in VC markets, like because like we don't have good valuation, so we took impact investor and create protocol and like values, and only after that we should talk to regional or like big player investor, so we can have a better valuation, we can have like bigger tickets from that kind of like commercial investor or like institutional investment.
Okay. And if you're already with investors, I just wondered, or I just wanted to bring up this question. So again, like we are really trying to get into the priority list and pipelines of the investors, and we are doing this by different influencing initiatives. So one is, for example, to create a pipeline, or to make it visible. So I mean, for example, again, startups like successful ones like you guys are existing, but sometimes it's on both sides the visibility is limited, right? So visibility is one. We are creating a lot of like places where you can speak with each other, such as, for example, the investors dialogue, or again the website which we're developing. What else, in your opinion, or what you have seen so far in your reality, you think would help to actually shape and influence as well the investors, both again as mentioned now, the impact investors, but then also maybe some traditional ones?
For me, it's like especially in power market. So we need to reach out to angel investor facts, and then we take their money and like create business, maybe like group to send space, and only after that we talk to like institutional investors. So they at the only time they came to interest to invest in to make investment, because like in early stage, like we don't have a lot of investment, we don't have many, so we can create protocol, we can create customers, we can create bigger markets. So like even we came out from Fandia Associated again here in Yangon. So back when we reach out to institutional investors, so they always like, okay, you are not creating like big market yet, so not very interested. Maybe came into X like after 1 year, 2 years. So we always reach out to angel investor facts, and then we reach out to institutional investors. So like for the early stage setup, we need to look out to accelerator, and then we reach out to angel investor, and then maybe tech stage we reach out to early stage institutional investor. Only after that we probably talk to regional investors. So we can have like bigger ticket, and we can have like good or maybe higher valuable position valuation. Otherwise, we are just wasting time reaching out to like investor. We are wasting time pitching all the time. Not very effective for us.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Okay, for the trends and topics. So what I always try to think about, or maybe we can just do this exercise quickly. If you would go into a time machine and you would open the door and you would come out and it's like 2040 or so. It's not super long time away, but like 2040. And the journalist is in front of you and he's asking you, okay, how do the affordable housing, well, how does this affordable housing segment, or how do the communities live right now? How would you answer that question? So we have, for example, here now, self-sustainable communities, food, water, energy, waste, or affordable community homes. What does this mean to the ones who wrote that there?
For me, I write affordable community. I would like to know more about how, because normally we just do as the single home, not much care as this community. So if there are common space that go beyond our concept, and I think it should go beyond to live, that it have a garden, parking, and playground. So all these aspects should make for people to make the life that I think it have a great or composed of multi yes, that I want for the community home.
Just at some points, I think what the future would be is like we're working on a path where we will have self-sustainable communities in terms of food, water, energy, and waste processing that is off grid. So meaning it's no longer centralized, but then like communities, no matter what's the scale, big or small, are able to sustain themselves on their own without having to uh, without the need to get any resources from outside of the communities. So these ways, like we can offset a lot of carbon, especially in terms of logistics, because everything is produced locally. And also the adoption of zero waste and circular economy, where every resources is used at its most efficient way, that there's no such thing as waste anymore, because everything is being brought back into value. So whatever resources that we take from the earth, the lifespan of the raw material and product is extended to be very, very long or even unlimited.
Are you expecting this more in like rural areas, or you're also mentioning zero waste cities? Where do you think, like where do you think the priority lies of like self-sustaining communities?
So in the context of self-sustaining communities, I think in suburban areas especially, where everything can be produced locally. So I think that would be, whereas, but there's also an opportunity for urban areas, cities, to also move towards that direction. But then I think it will be a bit more challenging given the existing habits and infrastructure that is already built to support the city. So the movement to change, the cost of change is probably higher for urban areas.
Okay. Thank you, Faisal. And then the last point again, like future of ShelterTech. How do we want to keep in touch? So yes, of course, the different channels. And maybe also again, we were talking about the community, moving forward. besides of just like, you know, being connected, you're also writing regular monthly sessions with big players. Is that really something you would look at? Like, would you want to have regular engagement points, for example, again, with an organization? And even if it is like in 6 months or so, do you think that would add value to you guys to keep in touch and being connected with others?
On my case, yes, definitely. Like I was just talking to Tim yesterday. We just had a just catch up and just like brainstorming of potential collaboration, both what Sampangan and Affordable Abode could be doing. And we realized that combining both of our technology and market insight as well as network at our geographical locations, there are just so much opportunities that can be built. So, and this is just from me and Tim. And I can only imagine what would happen if like we actually sit down together instead of as 10 separate ventures, but one singular team to create solutions from our ecosystem, right? The ShelterTech ecosystem, right? And then that can be duplicated in Indonesia or any parts of the region. I think that would be super amazing, and I would love to see that to happen from our cohort.
Okay. That's good to hear and good to know, Fausa. So we'll try to do something like this, and hopefully also once and physically, right? To all meet somewhere at one point. If you're saying again with all stakeholders, I would assume that you're like the one who wrote this is mentioning or thinking about also the steering committee members or the other, like the mentors or the experts in the field. In case you have like specific, you know, people or organizations in mind, feel free to also write it there. Again, as I said, for example, before, if you have like developers you would want to be in touch with or so we have already a pipeline which we could look at. Okay, so thank you so much for also engaging and, you know, bringing your thoughts on the table. I'm very much looking forward actually to, you know, be with you in the journey of like the very immediate future, but then also long term. We hope that we can actually pursuing our endeavors together. You know, not just in the next year or next month, but really also in a long term. So over the next years, and see also how you're growing and how we are growing, right? I mean, ShelterTech itself is still trying to pilot different things to see what is really working out, and with those 5 accelerators and now moving forward. So thank you so much, everyone. We are at time, basically still 5 minutes to go. I'll give it back to Kat.
Thank you so much, Lizanne. And thank you again for making time today. I know it wasn't the most friendly hour of the day for you, but really appreciate all the support and the insights that you shared with the cohort today. All right. So before we wrap today, we have a few reminders before we end. And as always, you know, we'd like to get your feedback on the sessions that we've had over the last few days. So if you could just go to menti.com, just share my screen. And I think Mickey will also share a link in the chat. Use the code 69835434 and answer our very short feedback form about today's session. So you'll get to rate, you know, the session with Neil on pitching and this session with Lizanne, as well as give us your overall thoughts on the learning sessions in general, because this is our last learning session as a group. So would love to hear, you know, your key takeaways from all the master classes and learning labs that we've done over the last few months, and maybe even share with us, you know, one thing, at least one thing that you've learned from some of your peers over these activities that we've had in ShelterTech. All right. And so while you're doing that, I'll pass it on to Priya to just quickly go over some of the reminders for us. Priya, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. I was wondering what happened to my video, but you can only see the reverse, I think. Okay, great. I'll just keep that off. Thanks everyone for filling that out. I just wanted to say a few words because, this is the last of our learning sessions together. And first of all, I just want to thank you for taking the time out. We have demanded a lot of your time over these last few months. In amidst this crazy times that we're going through with the pandemic and the political situations in Myanmar. So I'm so deeply grateful to each of you for, investing in yourselves, taking the time out to be part of this community, and, really being so engaged in all of the sessions that we've had. And a big thank you to all of our various speakers, from the Habitat team, from Global Urban Village, our external speakers. Everyone has been so generous with their time to really be part of this ShelterTech platform and really engaging with all of you. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. I also want to give a huge shout out to Kath, Mickey, and Abby, because they have been relentless, from day one. And I know all of you have been talking to them throughout, but, as an entrepreneur, like all of you, I'm an entrepreneur as well. And it's so great when you can just trust your team 100%. I've not been part of many of these sessions in these last 2 months because, there's a time difference for me right now. And I never had to think about anything quality even for a second. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way from all the feedback that I've heard from you before. So thank you, Kat. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Abby. And to all of the other fellows who've been supporting you. I think Lizanne and I always are constantly amazed at how, you guys just keep going. So thanks. We have a few things coming up. This is the final phase, of course, of the program. And we will continue to work with you one-on-one, but just wanted to bring your attention to 3 key kind of other gatherings that we'll have outside of these learning labs. We'll come together on May 26th for the ShelterTech Symposium, which is really looking at, what collaborations and partnerships that you can make, not necessarily with investors, but really with foundations, with corporate partners and other market partners. So that's really who we'd hope to bring together for you to meet and engage with at the symposium. We'll have one more investor dialogue where we get to meet a larger number of investors together. Thank you for all those name dropping. We'll try to get them as well to come in. I think one big learning for us has been that, and what I would love to feed back to you is that affordable housing, ShelterTech, all of these are new words and they don't exist in the language of the investors yet, right? So aligning yourselves with larger sectors, aligning yourselves with mandates of what investors are looking for, and making sure that you are doing as much diligence on the investors as they're doing on you, I think is the biggest thing that I would say that you must do. Because at the early stages, you really want partners who will walk the walk with you along with the capital. So we'll continue with the investor dialogues. And of course, for those of you who are actively fundraising, we'll work with you one-on-one in helping you set those meetings and, work on all of the other pieces that we need together. I hope all of these sessions have really helped you really just refine your own thinking. And this support has just helped you just get a process in place to, in this crazy time of fundraising, as well as everything that we're going through in the world. And of course, just the last thing there was, we'll close out the program officially. Kathy, we can just go back for a sec with the Global Symposium, where we'll really be, it's a showcase for us. This is the first time we're running it in this region. This is the first time we're running it in the Andy region. So it really is a place for all of us across the globe to come together and really appreciate all of the people who helped us put this together, but also really champion you. So, the official close of the program will be on July 14th, and look forward to seeing all of you. And please do invite all of your team members as well to that. So we can celebrate together of what we've achieved and what, how we've survived in these last few months. So thank you, and jump to the next slide, Kat. Yeah, so continuing on, what we'll do is that we'll wrap up the mentorship call. So that will continue for the next month and a half or next 2 months. And we really want to focus, but one-on-one work with you on the investment readiness and the market partnerships. No ask is too small or too big. Please ask us anything, any help that you need. We're here for you. And really, we want to dedicate the next 2 months really to supporting you as much as we can. So please, even if you want to practice your pitch separately outside, of the sessions that we have, we are here to support you. And again, I just want to thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you so much. And we'll continue to champion you always, even beyond this program. So thanks so much for your time. And back to you, Kat.
Great. I think that was a great end, Priya. I don't think I have much to say to that.
Okay.
But I do want to thank each and every one of you for really being so patient and, so accommodating to all of us from our team, and not just us, but also your mentors and a lot of the partners that we've been working with. I think, believe me, when we say that it's truly been a joy to work with each and every one of you. I think we're all, very, very sad that we have never met in person, but still kind of holding out hope that will happen someday, right? And so, while this is the last of our learning sessions, it's definitely not the end of the support yet, as Priya was mentioning. There's still a lot of one-on-one support that will continue to go on, and a lot of investor events, and a lot of one-on-one linkages that will make happen over the next few months. So we'll be sending more detailed reminders about the events, what to prepare for, what to expect, by the end of the week once we iron out all the details. But very, very happy to be working with all of you and looking forward to the amazing pitches and the amazing things that are to come from everything. So yeah, I think with that, as always, if I could just ask everybody to turn their videos on for our last group photo for our learning lab.
Great, finally my camera is working also.
Okay. Hannah, are you there?
Hannah is in a meeting, I think.
Okay. We can try to Photoshop her in. All right, smile everybody. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll be in touch over email, on Telegram, or Mighty Networks. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.